Well, howdy, howdy, howdy. Nearly senior citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this, a brand new day. And remember, no matter who you are valid. And let me check my oracle. I have recorded this about 14 times so far. Are things going to go well? Well, oh, look at a random choice. It says yes. I got a package in the mail yesterday. I ordered a pack of gnome cards, which is Grey Gnome Games has been throwing in a bunch of just random cards into other purchases, and then people were going like, well, how can I get these extra cards without buying all these other games? So I released all those extra cards in one pack, but also a nice 6-card oracle just for giggles, where it throws in a dice roll, an oracle at the top, a thing. It's got descriptions, and there's words at the bottom for it, traps and such to check to see what's in a room, actual look of the room itself. I mean, hokey smokes, these cards they're random-rific or something like that. And as a quick aside, because that reminds me, they have been doing a lot of work on the hills outside in the area that I live in, the Veterans Village here. And they've been putting in a lot of beauty bark, using a lot of earth-moving things, adding systems in. They've been putting up a lot of poles, which I can see it being for like fencing, which would be sad, but hopefully it's not that, and more along the lines of trellis work maybe, but it's probably fencing. It's hard to say. Still, it's nice that it's being done. It's very, very cool. Definitely a thumbs up on that. Back to the other thing though, just as a quick aside, also one of the things that I had bought was there's a mini micro game and then a mini micro advertisement for a game, basically. There's one game, I'm trying to find the titles on these, Doom Pilgrim, and this is a tiny little card one with pictures on it. And this is the one that's a mini version of their board game that has a whole bunch of pictures on them. And then they have situations on the back with a massive amount of text. And the picture combined with the text is supposed to come up with some evocative mood that you then deal with on the game. Which I've never played, but it's here. The other one is another card game. It's got creatures and monsters, not a whole lot of anything but creatures and monsters. And then there's your character tracker sheet and how to make up a character and such like that. Weird little mini games that, you know, it was cheap, so I thought, why not? But on the non-mini game type thing, that's still a mini game that I want to show, is a while back I had gotten this thing Desolate, so I can see it here. This is a science fiction version slash variant of Iron Helm slash Tin Helm slash Tin Realm slash a couple other games that run on roughly the same system, where you pull 2 cards and then one is a description and such that tells you what's in the room, and then the other tells you, well, okay, if it's a trap, then this is what the trap is. And then you're trying to get to the end and survive. And so that could be fun. I'd like to play that one for the channel. The other one no longer fits inside of the box. But it comes with like this number of dice. And look at this box. And it's got a whole card set, which I sleeve my cards as best I can now. So they take up a lot more room than they would, but you have entire characters and abilities and items, and you couldn't see the actual items part of that because the back was to it. But there's items and all sorts of trackers that you have for your characters. And if you play solo, which if you It's designed to be a solo thing. You play 2 characters at once, and there's actually full dungeons, and it seems quite interesting the way that you do your systems for determining the random monsters. They have all of these dice with various symbols on them. Like if it says in a room you'll find 2 green and 1 blue, for example. Well, green, well, it'll also give a type, can be ranger of, well, range or not ranged, and then of course again range and not range. But when you roll them, the number that comes up, that's how many hit points they have. So right there it determines what the hit points are of the characters, and so you put the dice on the little table where the dungeon is with your little meeple that you're moving around on it. And it's only a tarot card size thing. I mean, not even tarot cards, regular card size. The whole dungeon's on that. It's quite fascinating. I want to play that one for the channel too. A very, very good thing indeed. Yay! But on the whole worldwide thing, not much has been going on. I mean, they've been working on stuff out there. Oopsie. I've been going on walks as best that I can. I have not been taking my tablet with me. And people have... This is my phone. I'm going to show this off. The only reason that I have this is because I needed it for 2-factor authentication when I lived back on High Street. Good God, that's way back, like pre-year 2000. When I lived up on 2nd Street here in Shelton, southern Shelton it is, but it's just a flip phone with a keyboard and a little tiny screen there, and yeah, so it doesn't really do anything at all besides make phone calls. I can't record anything on it, so I'd like to have another phone, but I need to be able to carry the phone number over, and that is a pay by the month phone, so I don't know if I'd be able to carry the phone number over. Thumbs up on that. So anyway, yeah, I just thought I'd show off my phone. Everyone in the world has a great smartphone, and I got a phone that sure ain't smart, but it makes phone calls. Sure, if I wanted to figure out, I could leave texts where, you know, you sit there and you press the key like 5 times to get it to the appropriate thing, and then you go on to the next one and you press it 4 or 5 times to get to the appropriate thing, so that you can spend 10 seconds or more typing out the word why. Yeah, no thank you. So yay. But yeah, I haven't been doing much else. I've been going out talking to people. I've been doing my chores in the community center, which aren't much for me. I have to disinfect and wipe off windowsills and disinfect light switches. It's not a lot, but really that's about all I can do with everything going on with the nerve compression. So yay on that. Still though, it's better than nothing at all. And even though I haven't been able to record yet, I'm going to be recording either Fallout New Vegas or a board game or a solo RPG thing soon, so no fear there. Also, just wanted to talk a bit more about the Kaiju on the Apple Rock layer. When I talk about layers and all this, on a Razor's Edge in my setting, which the Apple Rock Razor's Edge, but it works this way on every Razor's Edge, except there's a little bit difference because of the power of the Kaiju, but wherever you have intelligence, the effect of there is quantum knotting around intelligence. The more intelligent you are, the more you have quantum knotting. It forms a pattern. Each person's pattern is individualized. These fields given off by the pattern reinforces stability in an area. So if you're living in a house, you don't have to worry about your house fading away on one side when you're over on this side. There's a stabilizing effect from the pattern of your quantum knotting. The more people you have, the greater the effect. So when you have a settlement, you have a large area that is completely stable. Now that is your whatever settlement's layer name. Now when you walk out of that layer, if you are just here and you walk away from the settlement, that path behind you becomes a part of the settlement layer. But if you have no one else along there to stabilize the path behind you, within an hour, that begins to fade. And then you are on your own personal layer. Now, if this were someplace other than the Apple Rock layer, you would be on your own layer that would drift. You could click onto and connect to another layer. But on the Apple Rock layer, nothing gets disengaged from the Apple Rock layer. Every town and settlement on the Apple Rock layer is on the Apple Rock layer. And this is because of the stabilizing effect of the Kaiju, which has stabilized the entire layer. You don't need intelligence to stabilize and keep all the settlements on this one layer. The Kaiju is doing it. And of course, nobody knows. But all of these settlements, they get larger, there's stabilizing effects, and you would never be able to walk from one settlement to another because you're walking and you're creating an extension of this settlement. And when it disconnects, you're on your own personal layer. You can walk forever and never connect to anything that you have ever seen before because everything is in a vast superposition. There is 1,000,000 square kilometers of there for every square meter of there. And only when you walk out into the superposition and your stabilizing effective intelligence drops that out of the standing wave of the superpositioned area, it's all possibility. So how would you travel from place to place, from settlement to settlement? That's what the glamours are. It's like an address book in your head. If you have been to a place and you think of it, there is a connection made between you and it, a kind of metaphorical connection that you can metaphorically hook an anchor line to, and then you're following that line from where you are to where you want to be. And as long as you are just walking along that destination, you are going from micro layer to micro layer until you reach your destination. Now, you still have to travel the same distance. If it's 50 kilometers to get there, you have to travel 50 kilometers. You're just going to be traveling through however many micro layers along the 50 kilometers of travel. So that is how the Apple Rock layer, Apple Rock, in the center of it is 1,500 kilometers from the center of the large lozenge area that people arrive in when they walk in through the gate from the outside Earth. And then they have to travel from there to there. But unless you've got a connection and you've been there, you can't do it. However, if you're next to somebody that has been somewhere and you ask for, hey, do you know how to get to Apple Rock? And they know how. If they think of it and get that connection, then it splits and you have it now in your connection, in your address book as well. And you can now travel along it because you have asked for the way to get there and you've gotten it. Now, if somebody doesn't know, of course, that's two of you that don't know how to get there. Now, if you try to make a connection with somewhere and it doesn't work for whatever reason, it is a very odd, like you've bumped your head without hurting feeling, because you should have a feeling of, you don't even think about it, but it's a feeling of satisfaction when you've made the connection. You think about, oh, I need to go to Grumper's Toad, because there's a little place called Grumper's Toad, because of the toad that belonged to the guy called Grumper. But if you wanted that connection, you think of it, you go there, someone else thinks of it, and then they go there. Unless you have that, I got distracted by the thought of Grumper's Toad, so I lost the exact track of what I was talking about, other than the fact that you need those glamours to travel. Otherwise, you can't get anywhere. But if you go somewhere and you like an area and you can stabilize it, then you can travel back and forth from that via the glamours. As well as, because Apple Rock is a larger city on the Apple Rock layer, but it's not just one layer. There's micro layers everywhere. you could end up just traveling, going from one side of Apple Rock to another. You enter a district where you traveled some micro layers, and you're ending up in a place that's on a layer of Apple Rock that you've never been to. But now you have. And now it's a part of your city too. Even though it's not a part of the Apple Rock layer, you know how to get there, because all layers are just minor variations of the place that you've been until it becomes another place with enough changes. And of course, that's all due, not all due, the stabilization of the Apple Rock layer is due to, once again, the Kaiju, which nobody knows that the Kaiju is a dark and malevolent god of death and destruction. Everybody just thinks of the Kaiju as a horrific thing that comes down and eats a couple thousand people every 5 or 6 years and goes back up and takes a nap. There is no history. Deep time. Nothing survives deep time. Human beings aren't set up to be able to envision and live through deep time and remember it. We can't even remember our own history, and it's only a couple thousand years old. Deep time on the razor's edge lasts for almost 2 billion years. Nobody has any idea what the Kaiju is, because when it's curled up in its form of an Apple Rock, it's only like, it looks like a gigantic Granny Smith apple. Not completely. It looks enough like a Granny Smith apple, and it is lightly green that it looks like a giant Granny Smith apple, a giant apple rock sitting on a ledge that's overlooking this valley that's a nice place to build a city. And that Apple Rock, every couple, like 4, 5, 6 years, it opens up and it becomes this armored Kaiju. The apple part of it is its armor. It unfolds like a puzzle piece, and then it is a gigantic lizard-like thing with 4 legs, a tail, and a head. It is about the size of one large industrial block. It isn't even as big as Godzilla, but it has 2 forms, where it has its quadruped form, where it holds itself on 3 legs to eat or uses its mouth, or it can shift back onto its hind legs, and then it's Godzilla-like and uses its 2 hands as it walks around and eats. But it's not gigantic. But in all of human history, yeah, it's come down just every 5 or 6 years. It's smashed some of the place up, it's eaten some of the people, and then it's gone back up to sleep. Couple of reasons why people don't just run in terror from this place. Number one, I've mentioned that the Kaiju has points of interest, points of attention, where it can set a point of attention and push whatever it wants to push, to manipulate. And it pushes over the entirety of Apple Rock on community, each other, love of neighbor and community and city, civic pride. Everyone loves Apple Rock. And not only that, they don't just have this manipulation pushing at them. The only real waste product that the Kaiju produces from devouring all these trillions of human beings is an odorless and colorless gas that it can tweak the effects of. People that breathe this gas, it is a heavy compound that can also contains oxygen so that people don't starve, but it hits specific parts of the body and the brain. And as it breaks down, all of those compounds also hit specific areas, and each time they break down, it hits another spot until it's all gone out of your system. But you feel that love of community, that love of your neighbor. When you lock eyes with a stranger in Apple Rock, you know that they are your sibling, and you love them. Apple Rock is a beautiful and wonderful place. And in fact, when you leave Apple Rock, you need that compound to keep your serotonin and dopamine receptors and transmitters working properly. So the world outside Apple Rock is cold, hard. For some of these people, it hits them so hard that even the idea of leaving Apple Rock puts them in panic attacks. And for others, the lack of serotonin and dopamine, everyone is just harsh. They just have bare survival levels of everything. There are those camaraderie hormones in your brain like oxytocin and prolactin. Bare survival moments, amounts. The world is cold and hard, harsh outside of Apple Rock, but Apple Rock, oh, everyone is so nice and the place is so good. How could you leave Apple Rock? And sure, yeah, the kaiju comes down. It eats a couple thousand people every 5 or 6 years. That's okay, it happens. Everyone just rallies behind it when they're behind the survivors. Everyone is drugged to the gills in Apple Rock. And the kaiju loves it because it hates humanity. Again, it lives on hate. If you took away its hate of humanity, there would be nothing left for it to live for. A dark and malevolent god. And it lives on the hatred of us. And it's on this ledge overlooking Apple Rock. Now, I will never likely ever get this done. I need to be able to type. I've got to be able to push the executive dysfunction and more. I've got to go down to the ER. My heart's still just not being fun. And will I ever be able to do anything about this? But the entire project that I've had starts when the Apple Rock Kaiju comes down, and in the city of 20,000 people with another 5,000 people in support around it, and the Kaiju comes in and they have documented proof, eats 12,500 people. Another several thousand go missing, so the death toll, 15,000 people. 5,000 people of just those who lived in the city, and the 5,000 in the supporting villages around it. Everybody else tucked away into the Kaiju's gut. The story starts from there, and at the end of a year is when the city is back and almost running up and perfect, and the King and Crimson, or the Crimson Kingdom, they've been setting the place up and fixing it, and it's all good again. And the people that come in there to help, they like the place. They like that sense of community. And in fact, some of them, as soon as they finish getting this place ready, they're going to go get their families and they're going to move to Apple Rock because they just like that sense of community there. The Kaiju is a dark and malevolent god of death and destruction, and thank God it is chained and fallen. Within the Razor's Edge, it is untouchable. Anything outside of the Razor's Edge from the inside that could be effectively a god, that if the Kaiju came out to there and tried to fight it, those things could just crush it like a bug. But if any one of them made the mistake of stepping into its lair, into the Apple Rock Razor's Edge, the Kaiju will knock them down, hold them down, and then eat them alive as they die screaming. And it's only 1,500 miles away from Brokerton, South Carolina. 1,500 kilometers, I'm sorry. So yay, it's the Kaiju! And then I just try to bring things up like this, both to remind myself and to remind people that have heard it, and for new people, and there are a few, and thank you very much, just to let you know, this is a heavy and a deep setting I've got that covers 3 universes and pretty in-depth on each of them, including all the cryptid stuff on top of it. So, thumbs up for that. Anyway, though, I'm 25 minutes into this. I got to get this edited, and I got to debate with myself whether or not I actually want to walk down to the ER. I don't want to spend all day and such there, but then I don't want to die yet. I mean, I know it's going to happen. I don't like that idea. I'm having massive existential crises because of this. But it hasn't hurt since yesterday. But I've been feeling it do funny little bounce arounds inside there, and that ain't good either. No other side effects, though. Yay. Every one of my Patreon patrons, thumbs up, thank you. You are beautiful and awesome people. If I could type and write, even to control, paste, and then I have to go through and edit the list. You are beautiful and awesome people. As soon as I can get you up here, I will. But until that time, remember, when you look in the mirror, you are beautiful, you are awesome, mentally, physically, what's the word? Emotionally and spiritually. For everyone that leaves me a comment, thank you so very much. It is appreciated. I read every single one of them. I thumbs up the ones I can. I heart the ones that I can as well. So even though I can't answer as many as I would like, I'm at least reading and appreciating them. Thumbs up, thank you. To show if you've read this far, how about relay give in the comments to show the algorithm you've watched and let me know that you enjoy watching these things too. That would be very cool. Thumbs up and thank you. So I'm going to get this edited, rendered, uploaded. I am going to go for more walkies. I'm going to get some stuff recorded if I don't spend all day at the ER, or I don't die, one or the other of the 3 options. So yeah, logic. Anyway though, you take care. Have a great day today. I'll hopefully see you on the flip side, and that is indeed a very, very good thing. Yay. Yeah, I'm worried, and yeah, like I said, I have existential crises now. I'm 61. For like the past 59 years, I have been not great with the idea of death, but at least understanding and being okay, as in I know it's going to happen. I guess now that I'm getting closer to that dark wall of the void, now I'm starting to have those existential crises, because everything I thought I had settled, show ain't settled no mo. So you take care, and I'll talk to y'all later.